Come one and come all, and listen to Sir Kenny Passion tell you what happened from the fall until the spring in the NBA as joy was brought and points was scored, kings rose and thunder struck, MVP races was tight neck to neck, and as some fall from their graces, what others didn't expect, trades that took place, shaking up the land. So let's Sir Kenny Passion tell you all what happened this year in the NBA.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Kendall K. Howard, a.k.a. Kenny Passion, a.k.a. Poppy Passion, here to talk about, well, what exactly did happen this year in the NBA season. So there was a multitude of stuff that kind of happened. Kind of been a weird season, I think. It flew by. Everybody says that about every season. But it was kind of a weird season with different types of events that left us now as we go into the playoffs, kind of still in the determinant of who can come out on top. So one thing of note that happened this year that everybody was griping, from players to coaches to fans, is bad officiating. We have Monty Williams getting fined for calling out the refs at press conferences and getting technical fouls. Multiple coaches, Mark Daigneault from the Thunder recently, Fred VanVleet even calling out a ref, getting a fine for that too. But if you look at some of these egregious calls that have been taking place, one of notable is the Lakers and Celtics game, in which LeBron was clearly fouled going to the rim, but no foul was called as he missed the layup, thus costing him the game once it went into overtime. You know, you're seeing these refs, even at a Clippers game where we saw Terrence Mann getting tossed out for trying to defend the call that the tech that was given against Kawhi Leonard. He just got thrown out of the game. Like, these refs, you know, it's kind of weird what's going on. I don't know if this is like the refs trying to revolt or something, because they talked about how the players always get at him, and we're now even seeing like the NBA ref Twitter responding to comments from players and people saying that this call should be rescinded. Mavericks against the Warriors, where they had that one possession where basically they got confused where the refs was telling them that it was their ball, just for them to turn around and see that the Warriors was inbounding the pass with no defense right there because the Mavs thought it was their ball, costing them 2 points, in which they lost by 2. Now, to say that is the reason why they solely lost, in basketball, especially in that possession, it was like in the third quarter, you can't say that. But obviously, had they not had the 2 points and the game played out the way it did, things would be different. But in that momentum swing right there a little bit, and the frustration that it caused between the players, all the way up to the owner of Mark Cuban, you got to sit there and think that, like, and all these other calls that are coming around the league, what is going on with these referees, and is this a problem that can be solved going into the next season? Hopefully they solve going into this year's playoffs as well. Okay, this one hits home to me. A big storyline that everybody likes to talk about with these two, the Nets disbanding, specifically Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant being traded. Now, before the season started, Kevin Durant requested a trade, and it came off at the heels after Kyrie Irving signed his extension. So a question was raised of, like, what was going on? What did Kevin Durant want? And he even later came out and talked about how at the time he was unsure what the franchise was going and how he decided to stay and see how the season was playing out. And they was doing fine, even with Kyrie missing some games earlier in the year. And they was doing fine until KD got hurt. And then the Nets organization was even acting weird at how they handled the Kyrie Irving situation. Quick little thing right here. I will admit, I ain't going to say I'm a full-flown Kyrie Irving apologist, but I don't like the way, especially over these past couple seasons, he has been treated by the media and looked upon by others because of him being a different person. Do I agree with everything he does? No, but I don't agree with everything that everybody does. Nobody's perfect, so it doesn't mean we should demify anybody. But anyways, when they gave him that whole list ordeal and them not promising Kyrie a contract, that's what then led to Kyrie requesting his trade. And, of course, Kevin Durant's not going to sit there and be like, well, I'm just going to sit here and ride this out. The man requested a trade already back in the summer, so smart on him to even request a trade too. And it didn't help. I low-key almost forgot about this until now. It didn't help that Ben Simmons, who they traded James Harden for last year, is still kind of doing the things that he was traded from Philly for, and that is like just not playing, kind of being a shell of himself. Now, if you know me, you know I used to ride that man's ass and get it to him ever since that whole Hawk series of how I even call him pedestrian Ben for a while now because his numbers was always the same for a minute. But Jesus, he's not even putting up his pedestrian-like numbers no more. It's no more 16, 8, and 8s. It's about 2 4s and 6s. Like, God dang. He's not doing anything this year, you know? And it's sad to see when him going to be such a player that at least in theory shows some promise. But when you really look at what he's done over the past couple years he's been in the league, he really wasn't doing much. And he really didn't get that much better over time. You know, you had coaches like Doc Rivers, Brett Brown, and even like when he got to the Nets, everybody defended him, even his fellow players, talking about, you know, let Ben be Ben. He'll get better, he'll get better. But it was always those reports, even like on his draft night, that he was like lazy, didn't have a high work ethic, didn't want to get better. And that showed throughout his career, on top of now whatever mental issues that he is going through now, which I hope he gets through, to at least get to be back to be some type of better version of what he used to be, because you never go back to being the same thing that you once was. You only grow as you continue to go in life. A little life lesson there. You will want him to be better, and obviously him not playing to his expectations, especially trading away James Harden, who's doing well in Philadelphia, that hurt the team as well. Didn't give him no credence for Kyrie or KD to be like, you know, even if for Kyrie, I don't get my attention, I would, you know, I could ride this out. Or for KD, well, Kyrie's gone, well, at least I still have been. Like, no, there was none of that there. But back into, like, the players themselves, like, you know, Kyrie getting traded to the Mavs first for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and the pick. Now, when you look at this, before Kyrie got there was around the 4th or 5th seed in the West. The defense was already bad. But once he got traded there, the defense got worse because they lost Dorian Finney-Smith, who was a key defender for that team. But you have people out there who want to place blame on Kyrie, and even the way it is even shot on TV, and it is the narrative that is out there saying that basically since the Kyrie trade, the Mavericks, I think they won like 8 games to like, I guess now 14 or 15 losses now at the end of the season. And in context, that looks like it's Kyrie Irving's fault, but it's not. You even have players, coaches, people who cover the team, pundits around even saying that this is not a Kyrie Irving situation, which a lot of people want to make it when you look at it in context, but it's not. They have an issue that whole entire front office need to take care of in terms of retaining Kyrie this offseason. I think that's the best place for him to stay at, playing along Luka. And for them to build and grab some players to put around them, some 3-and-D guys, a third reliable guy who I think, you know, even Christian Wood was kind of that, but there are some issues going on with him and Jason Kidd. Not looking too good. I hope if they don't figure that out, hope he finds a place where he is more respected there, because he is a talented guy. But maybe I'm missing some stuff that's going on there. I only see what I see. But they need to retain Kyrie and build and put some players around him and Luka. Because for them to go to where they were, to not even end up playing it now, they finished the season at the 11th seed. It's kind of sad to see when you have two of the most offensive, gifted guys in the NBA. But it's even very telling, you know, if you're a gamer, probably watching this, it's even telling because when I played with the Mavericks on 2K, I can't defend shit. It is so hard. And if you can't shoot on that game, you ain't getting the bucket. Because they can shoot the lights out, but if you don't know their releases, if you don't know how to shoot, you ain't winning the game. Not on the defensive end. No. On the Kevin Durant side of it, when he gets traded to the Suns, which is a team that he was even linked to being traded to in the summer, good fit for him and great in return for what they got on top of the Kyrie trade the Nets got back in return. They got from the Kevin Durant trade, they got Mikal Bridges, who was playing phenomenal, Cam Johnson. Durant with the Suns, great fit and a great forward, especially given that Chris Paul is having a down year. Hopefully we'll see if he can turn it up in the playoffs and it's not like a decline that we're seeing that it's rapid, because he was just killing the game. You know, last year he had that perfect game where he went off against the Pelicans and everything was looking good until they faced Luka the Don and he put them boys to rest. But they got a big 4 team in Phoenix. What everybody's issue is with them, because along with KD came TJ Warren from an Indiana Pacer. they don't have enough depth. They have a lot of young guys on there. You know, they have, like I said, Warren. You got Ish Wainwright, who's playing very good for them. Torrey Craig, Josh Okogie, Cameron Payne. They got Bismack Biyama, who's playing a lot when DeAndre Ayton was down. How can that depth help them get a championship, which a lot of people were picking since the KD trade for them to win? How likely is it for them to get a championship this year with KD? Since playing with the Suns, they're 8-0. He missed 2 weeks with that weird ankle injury that he got pregame warm-ups. How likely is it for them to get a championship? I'm going to say probably, 40%. I'm not going to give them that much of a chance because they're still figuring things out. And that plays to like the parity that we see in the Western Conference that I'll talk about after this. But I don't see them, because now we know they play the Clippers in the first round. That's going to be a hard-fought series, which I have the Clippers winning because I got them win the championship this year still. And I'm not just saying it because I have money on it, because I believe it. I do believe that, though. I think if a team that can come out the West still, besides Denver, I can still give the Clippers a chance.
Oh, brother.
I can still give the Clippers a chance. If you don't believe that, hey, that's your opinion. I have mine. Deal with it. So the Western Conference and the parity is crazy. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this record. Look at this here. I don't even know if I'm properly pointing to this right here. Look at these records from at least 4 to 10. They're about similar. And it's very interesting to see how much this has flipped besides the top 3 seeds. Denver had a lock on the West for months now. Grizzlies and Kings was going back and forth as the season was waning between 2 and 3 seed. You had the Suns, who at one point was number 1 seed in the West. Now they're number 4. They even fell down when Devin Booker was hurt for that time, but came back up, obviously, since then, when with KD trade. The Clippers, who's kind of been in that same area throughout most of the year, so they really didn't move too much. Warriors, bad road struggles this season. Historically bad, especially for a defending champion. Lakers, who was once out of the playoffs and the play-in, and since the trade, have skyrocketed and put themselves not only into the play-in, but into a 7th seed. Crazy. And I'll take back. You know what? I'll stop it. I'll stop right here, and I'll admit, coming into this season, I said the Lakers won't even sniff the play-in, not let alone the playoffs. They proved me wrong. Congratulations, Lakers. Congratulations, Laker fans. You proved me wrong. Then you have the Timberwolves.
All right. So my man's here think the Timberwolves. Go ahead, talk. Speak. Tell the people.
With the Depoy.
The Booty Gobert. Booty Gobert.
That's it. Karl-Anthony Towns. Jaden McDaniels. Anthony Edwards, who is on the ascension. And D'Angelo Russell are going to win the championship, the NBA championship right now. Mark the ground right now. We are
This year?
Yes,
2020 and 2023.
I'm telling you right now, the Timberwolves are winning a championship this year.
Out your fucking mind.
Shout out to this guy right here. You have these guys who, as you saw, some people thought they was going to make it to the championship with that Rudy Gobert trade. That ain't happening. Anthony Edwards was not going to let them down despite Cat being out. Besides, Rudy Gobert still not being an offensive threat and can't even do a freaking move on his own to save his life after being in the league for a decade or close to it now. Booty Gobert. Then you have the Pelicans, who at one point was also the 1 seed until Zion Williamson got hurt. There are some concerns about where does Zion and his health leave him for his future with the Pelicans, because honestly, even without him being there, you would think, because they didn't have him last year either, that this wouldn't be such of a big dip that they went to, because they was riding high once he was there, and they dropped to where, I guess where they was at last year, because they was in the play-in last year. Without him being there, it's kind of a step back, because you would think everybody else at least gets better, but like we saying, parity in the Western Conference, it's hard, people. It's hard. Competition is better. Let's talk about the Kings, who ended a 16-year-long playoff drought this season. Light the beam. Light the beam. They made a trade last year that at the time shocked was the word that went across the NBA world, including me as a Pacers fan, as we traded away Domas Sabonis for Tyrese Halliburton, a trade that worked perfectly for both of us, as both of them turned me All-Star. You know, Domas got his third straight All-Star appearance. Tyrese got his first All-Star appearance with us. But for the Kings, it worked wonders because trading him there and getting rid of Marvin Bagley, essentially putting Sabonis at the 5 and drafting Keegan Murray, trading for Kevin Huerter. You know, De'Aaron Fox solidified as the number one guy. With Harrison Barnes who's already there. Terrence Davis. You get Malik Monk. These guys have been on the road. Don't forget adding Coach of the Year. If he doesn't win Coach of the Year, I don't know who else you give it to. Mike Brown's done a wonderful job with these guys. Although, I will say, they can score the ball like no other. But I've watched a few games of theirs, and God, they can't play defense and rebound to save their life. I forgot what game I was watching. The TNT game recently, and it was against the Knicks. And they was getting out rebounded a lot, especially by Josh Hart. I want to say Josh Hart had like 11 rebounds in that game. I saw a bunch of them being offensive. And you would think with bigger guys like a Keegan Murray, who this year broke the record for the rookies for most made threes for the Kings, and you have Sabonis there that they kind of like at least get down low and get these boards. But I like what the Kings have done. Like I said, grabbing Kevin Huerter, who's averaging a career high 15 points on 40% shooting from the 3. Like I said, De'Aaron Fox is turning to his own, leading the league in most clutch points. They've been a very fun team to watch, and a shock that nobody saw coming in the Western Conference for them to be number 3 in the West. Besides, I would say at least Mark Spears. He was the one. I remember people laughed at him when they said that the Kings was going to make the playoffs. Nobody saw them become a 3 seed. Look at them now. And you know, speaking of like the Kings' high offensive efficiency this year around the league, it's been crazy to see the type of numbers we're seeing offensively and in points from across the league, and defensive ratings, how they have gone down, but offensively have gone up. Now, people have said, is this a more of a testament to people not playing defense, or is this we're getting more skilled and better offensive players? And I think it's the latter, because when you look at the players that are now in the league, and especially how these players are being trained and what is acceptable in basketball now today, and the space we all see on the court, and the type of style that's been introduced over the past couple years, it's easier for these guys to score, and a lot of these guys have the ability to do whatever. Hell, today, as I'm recording this, like I said, the last day of the regular season, Kenny Lofton Jr., who got called up from the Memphis Grizzlies G League team, scored 42 points today against the Thunder, making him, I guess, the 55th guy to score 40-plus this year. 55 different NBA players have scored 40-plus this year. We have never seen that before. It's crazy. You can have guys from Kenny Lofton to P.J. Washington to Donovan Mitchell and Damian Lillard who both put up 71 points this year. It's crazy. It's literally crazy. Now, as a fan, I love it. I have no problem to seeing more shots going into the hoop. And people talk about, well, there's no defense played. It's not like back in the old days. It's harder. I want to see somebody try to guard Damian Lillard, who is a legitimate threat from the time he crosses half court. I want to see somebody guard a Steph Curry, a Giannis. Like, it's hard. It is hard for these players, and give credit, and especially now as we go into playoffs and the pace is kind of slowed down a little bit more. Give credit to those guys who are at least able to neutralize the type of guys like a Kevin Durant, who you can't really stop. You can only make it harder for them to score. So imagine a bunch of these other guys and the talent around the league that's keep getting better and better as we're seeing. It's hard to stop these guys. Like I said, like Donovan Mitchell, the young guy who's starting to rise a lot. Tatum, he's gotten better. Luka, you got Devin Booker. You got Brunson, especially since the All-Star break, who went off because he wasn't an All-Star. He's been going off too a lot lately. He put up a 48-point game the other day. I guess I gotta give credit to Julius Randle too, who's been playing good as well this year. But it's a testament to a lot of these young guys. And back to what I was talking about like earlier with the Thunder with SGA, who was leading the league, or I guess led the league with the most 30-point games with 45. That's more than Luka and more than Joel, more than Tatum, more than LeBron, more than Giannis. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Shout out to you, fellow Wildcat, because he's been playing phenomenal this year. If he's not most improved player, I guess you give it to marketing, but come on. The way he's been playing this year has been unfair. And look at how he has helped lead that team until the play-in. But despite people saying that they wasn't going to be anything when they lost Chet Holmgren earlier this year. Give credit to the rest of the guys they have on the Thunder team, too. And Josh Giddey, who's been coming to his own. Jalen Williams, both of the rookies they have there. Lou Dort, who's been playing really good. They got a slew of guys around that team that's playing very good for them. Isaiah Joe, who's becoming a knockdown shooter for them. They lost Cameron Williams earlier with some injury. But SGA, one of the league leaders in points in the paint, along with Giannis. He had a 44-point game earlier this year, attempting only 1 3. Only one. They didn't even make it. And he had 44 points. You only see a guy do that, somebody like a Giannis Antetokounmpo, let alone a 6'6", 6'8" guard who's wiry and quick and fast like Shai Gilgeous is. Now, if we want to talk about scoring, there was a lot of it in the All-Star game, but the way it went about, the way it was gone about, a lot of people are not fans of. I would put myself there. There was a noticeable lack of effort in here in the All-Star game this year, and people started to question. And this, I feel like it's a question that happens like every year when it comes to the All-Star game and All-Star weekend in general, of like, should we care about the All-Star game? How can we change it and make it better? When I guess I just realized it too. I guess we've been doing this whole draft format for about 5+ years now. It's crazy. I didn't think it's been that long. And this year they actually did the draft right before the game, which is very cool to see how they was doing the draft this year. Instead of them doing it, I guess a week or two before time, but it was noticeably lackadaisical in effort. Now, not to say that you want to see them go hard the entire game. Some people have asked for that. And honestly, they go hard, especially in the last quarter when they're trying to win the game in this new format. But this year, you know, it was different in how guys is letting everything happen. It wasn't as entertaining. So when I look to the All-Star game, I guess let me best put it this way. When I look to the All-Star game, I do want some competitiveness there, but I also want the entertainment factor, because that's where, of course, you see this is a dream team of all the best guys around the NBA playing against each other, and we only get to see like once a year. So I'm not expecting them all to like be playing 100% against each other. I want some fun there. I want to see some half-court shots. I want to see some lobs being thrown. Because I want to say, well, was it last season or 2 seasons ago when we had Dame and stuff going at it? It was last season when we had Dame and stuff going at it, shooting half-court shots. There was lobs being thrown. Everybody was having fun. So that wasn't a game that was bad in its own. But this year, and I'm mad, I should have took this bet, because I knew Tatum was going to be an MVP. I took this tail by the way he was playing to start the game that he was going to get it. But my dumb ass did not put the bet in. But it's whatever. Like early on, Tatum, you could just get the sense that he was going to go off in that game. And he did. Joel played very hard too. But a key thing we have to take into consideration, though, a lot of I guess the older name stars were in there. The newer age guys were the older one. LeBron got hurt, so he didn't play in the second half. KD didn't play. Curry didn't play. Zion didn't play. You don't have those guys playing, so that kind of takes away from the star power a bit. But like I said, you still have those new age guys. You still had Ja. You still had Joel. You still had Tatum. You still had Jokic. You still had Donovan, Jaylen Brown, Bam Adebayo. You had all these other young guys in there. So even without those big guys that was not there, it still kind of felt a little bit empty. But people was just complaining about it. Whatever. We'll see how next year it goes. You know, I talked about the Western Conference. I didn't say too much about the East. I'll give my thoughts on it here. Basically, what I saw from the East Conference, it was just continual dominance from the teams that we expected to dominate the East, which was the Bucks and the Celtics. The Celtics got off to an amazing start to the season, coming off their championship loss against the Warriors. And the Bucks, who was without Brook Lopez a little bit, came in, and Brook is playing a phenomenal year, my defensive player of the year too. He's playing phenomenally this year on the defensive end. And Giannis, who's making a case for MVP, playing well. Drew Holiday, who's been playing phenomenal, having one of his best years for his second All-Star appearance. The team was without Chris Middleton for most of the season as well, and he's just now starting to come into his own and be able to play back-to-backs. So to see what this team was going through, adding a Joe Ingles in the offseason, adding a Jay Crowder through the trade, Javon Carter, who's been playing very well for them, is going on the radar. Bobby Porter still being a good guy for them. They've been playing very cohesively, and they are one of the best defensive teams, and a lot of people pick them to win the championship. But let's not count out Boston, like I said, who gotten better in this offseason as well. People say had probably the best offseason, acquiring a Malcolm Brogdon, a Blake Griffin, and just, putting more trust into their young guys, and Tatum and Brown, Horford, who's an older guy, but Robert Williams, who came back mid-season, Marcus Smart. They've been playing very well, even despite the Ime Udoka situation and the way this season started for them. Mazzulla came in, who could possibly be a Coach of the Year candidate as well, and they continue to still be on top of the Eastern Conference and a championship contender, despite everything that they've been going through, even the rumors of Jaylen Brown possibly leaving if he doesn't get an extension. Let's not count out the 76ers, who Joel Embiid, who is my pick right now to win MVP. Harden and Embiid have been playing very well this year, and the 76ers, let's not count them out too and what they have going down there. And Cleveland, they are where they are when they're supposed to be at the 4 seed. They can surprise us. I'm gonna reserve some hope for the Cavs in the postseason. I'm gonna reserve some hope because a lot of people I feel like are kind of doubting them and think they won't do too much, given how strong the 1, 2, and 3 seeds are. I'm gonna reserve some hope for the Cavs. I can see that they can pop off and do something this postseason. So as I mentioned, with Joel Embiid being my MVP, there's been some controversy a little bit about what's going on with the MVP race this year. Some people have put some racial tones on it. There's voter fatigue because people like they don't want to give Jokic a third triple-double, a third MVP in a row because we haven't seen it since Larry Bird. Look, here's how I look at it. Because it's been so neck and neck throughout this year. And as Jokic missed a bunch of games to end the season, and you got to take into account, this has to factor in at least the way that they played against each other and how Joel Embiid dominated Jokic in that game. And how Joel Embiid, despite not having a number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, dominating, putting up points that we haven't seen since Shaq, and being one of the best players, if not the best player in the NBA. I don't know, maybe Giannis is still the best player. Because that's the thing about it. Even as I'm trying to discuss it right now, you can still make an argument for even Giannis, like I said, who has the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. He averages about at least 2 points less than Joel Embiid. But impact on the game itself shows that Giannis has been a big impact for that team. But how can you just deny what Joel Embiid has been doing, especially the end of the season and the way he's been playing? And I guess if you want to kind of look at it in a way that Joel didn't get it the season prior, because we really take a step back and look at it. For the past 4 seasons, 3 to 4 seasons, these 3 names have been in contention for MVP. Because the beginning of the season is always Luka Doncic as the favorite. People were trying to crown him as the next LeBron and get him there. And I understand that. I'm a big Luka guy. But we're witnessing the primes of 3 of arguably they're going to be one of the best players of all time. Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid. And they're continually in MVP race with each other every year. Now, the past 2 seasons, obviously, Jokic got the MVP due to the fact that without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. Throughout the past 2 seasons, so he willed his team into the playoffs and to be still in playoff contention, given the fact that his team wasn't the strongest compared to Giannis and Embiid. Now, with all 3 healthy, with them all having all members of their team, Jokic had a lock on the MVP race to kind of start the season. There was points where Giannis even had it. I think it's even that we finished, and maybe some recency bias. We'll see how it goes, but I want to give Joel Embiid the MVP this year because we got to look at what he's done on the defensive end as well, let alone from the offensive end. And there's videos you can see circulating around of how Jokic has been playing defense and how teams literally go at him. Even though the numbers and defensive win shares will say that he is like one of the best, the eye test still kind of shows that obviously Joel Embiid is a better defender. Even Giannis Antetokounmpo is a better defender than Jokic. I just have to give it to Joel Embiid. What is the criteria that we see for MVP? That's a question that people like to ask a lot, and like people try to throw in how they like people try to factor in the postseason when that's not necessarily should be the case because it's a regular season award. So why would a postseason thus matter because of that? You have people try to factor that in. Wins, obviously, the impacts to the wins on the team. You'll have like obviously Giannis and Jokic because they are the 1 seeds for both of their respective conferences. Points matter, impact on the team as a whole. It's all subjective, regardless of what you think a criteria is. That's why we have multiple voters for it, and there is different criteria for different people. And I'm not even going to really touch the whole racial thing on it, considering that most MVPs that we see have always been black throughout the years, and I'm not going to act like there is no racial undertones that lie within anything in life, because there always is. But when it comes to the MVP voting, I'm not going to say there is a racial undertone when people think Jokic should still be MVP over Joel Embiid or Giannis. But yeah, so that's some of the big things that I can recall that happened this year in the NBA. Maybe there's some more things that you all would like me to touch on, some things I forgot. Let me know about that down in the comments down below and what you all think about this year as a whole in the NBA. Let me know what you all think. Leave a comment down below. Share with your friends. Subscribe. Thank you, my Passionites.